All right, Ron Toye with the Ron Toye team at Cross Country Mortgage. I'm live today with my son, Ronald Joseph Toye the Fourth, aka I call him JoJo, but he goes by Ron. And I'm going to give you some updates. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. But I'm also going to try to remember to put this on my YouTube because I don't always wait for people to show up to continue doing what I got to do. But this week is an important week. It's going to be super busy when it comes to reports for the mortgage industry. Tomorrow, we've got the Case-Shiller is going to be doing the home price index. Wednesday, we've got the JOLTS report, jobs report coming out. Fed chairs meeting, the Fed's meeting for the next few days. They're going to have their interest rate decision on Wednesday. Powell speaking on Wednesday. It always can be market moving. But Thursday, we've got jobless claims. Again, that's huge. And then Friday, unemployment rate. And so as we continue to watch what's going to happen in the market, these reports are super important. And so my son, I wanted to bring him in on this one today because today I bring him to be shipped off into the Air Force. So he's joining the Air Force, super excited. He goes off to basic. And so I wanted to bring him in, say hi to everybody because I don't really share my personal life much on here. I mean, I talk about my woodworking and stuff for me, but I don't really ever bring my kid on who is turning 20 in May 31st. And so it's weird because I always tell him like, bro, I was your age when, or just a little bit like 2021 when his mom got pregnant with him. And I'm always like, what would you do if you got somebody pregnant right now? It'd be like, it's a mystery. So he's got to watch me grow up in a sense. And now I get to see him at 20, about to go off in the Air Force and do his own thing and talk about mortgages and see it from his perspective, because one thing I want to make sure I do for him while he's in the military is to help him buy property at the bases that he's stationed at once he's able to live off base. And so everywhere he's stationed, he's going to be getting property I'm going to help him with so that by the time he retires, not only will he have retirement from the military, but he'll also have a good book of business from passive income through rental property ownership. So on this live, I wanted to talk about what's going on in the market. We're up 17 basis points, so rates are coming down. But we did have a hit to the rates last week and the week before after CPI came out and different things started happening in the economy and rates took a hit. But we're clawing some of those drops back. Hopefully it continues as we go through the rest of the week. We'll see what the Fed says and see how that's going to impact. Same thing with jobs report that's coming out on Thursday and the unemployment rate that's coming out on Friday. Could be market moving. So it's going to be good. Yo, Jesus, love you all. Cool. I'm glad he does. And so we're on the live. If you have any questions, but my son, Ron, wanted to introduce him to everybody who usually comes out and watches my lives. It's Monday Mortgage Market Update. It's not super exciting information, but it's really designed for realtors, lenders, and also people that are looking to buy a home. If you're trying to join this live to do some dorky kind of like competition thing, this ain't the live. Like, this is a mortgage market update. I'm not here to try to do like, what do they call that shit where like people are like, ooh, thank you for a sparkle or whatever it's called.
Trolling.
Or like, you know, like how there's people on the live that do weird stuff.
Oh, the NPC.
Yeah,
shit.
that ain't me. So that's not going to happen. But yeah, so we're here to talk about the mortgage market. And it's important because I help a lot of younger people too when they're starting out. And so, because like with down payment and closing cost assistance programs and first time home buyer programs, and they're in every state. I'm not the only loan officer that does it. Pretty much every loan officer can. So I want you to feel like it's only me. Talk to somebody. If you got a job, you're leaving high school and you have a job, graduating college, in college, start buying property early. Buy a condo, buy a townhome, buy a duplex and rent out the other side. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you to everybody who's joined the live, here to help make sure you feel empowered to make a buying decision. Talk about the market. I'm a mortgage loan officer here in Dallas, Texas. I can help anyone in the state of Texas. If you're in another state, just let me know. I can connect you with a great loan officer out there, and we'll go from there. I'll pray for your lost soul. Satan loves you. I'll pray for your lost soul. This isn't going to be a religious channel. I don't talk much about my religion or religion in general. I want it to be more inclusive. I have nothing against Satan loving him, and I hope that there's more love to go around for everybody. But let's keep it towards comments and conversation about mortgages, if you don't mind, or personal life, just not religion or politics or any of that stuff, because it gets crazy. Do you see what kind of dorks? This is what's so crazy about this stuff. Christians got to come in on everything. I'm blocking this person. What a dork. Block. Bye. Perfect. Yeah, that person was blocked. Sorry if you got bothered by somebody in the comments. But yeah, happy to answer any questions you might have on mortgages, the market, payments, questions about parenting. I'm a dad. I only have one kid. He's my only son. I practiced and figured out how to do things. And I got decent about 5 years ago. Before that, just standard, typical lost dad, and didn't know what the hell. And then finally, I'm like, wait a minute, I got to prepare him to be ready for the real world. So instead of being authoritarian, I started to be more of a co-opting and more of like a counselor, like consultant in a sense with him, and teaching him how to make decisions versus following orders. And so it helped our relationship. And that's another reason why I like to bring him on today, is to talk, because I know I talk a lot about emotional intelligence and parenting and all that stuff. And did we prepare at all for this live?
No.
Did I ask you or prepare you for any questions I might ask you on this live?
Nope.
You're telling the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Bro, this isn't a fucking court investigation.
Yeah, well, it could be. Who knows what kind of questions in the comments could pop up. But yeah, again, just to reiterate about the market, because this is a Monday mortgage market update, things to look out for. We are up 17 basis points. So when I talk about that, that's based on the UMBS 6% coupon, and we're up. And when it has an inverse relationship. When I say the market is up on that coupon, that means rates are coming down. And so that is up because the 10-year treasury is down 6 basis points. It's very important to kind of know what is going to be driving the rates. This week, the Fed's meeting for a couple days, and then they're going to come out and talk. Powell's going to speak on Wednesday, 12 o'clock, kind of give us an update on the Fed decision on what they're going to do with rates. They are talking about reducing some of their quantitative tightening efforts, so that's going to be awesome. Hopefully we can get some rebounds in the market, get the rates down even more, because right now there's a ton of demand for homes, but because rates are a little higher, some people are still on the fence. And with home prices appreciating 5 to 7% last year, that's significant when you're looking at the average price point of homes, especially here in North Texas, almost $400,000. And so, you know, when you're talking 5% appreciation, that's a good amount of money on that type of property. And sometimes people are worried about the payment, and that's something to be justified. Sup, dude? Say, how's it going, bud? You have any questions for us? I'm a licensed mortgage loan officer here in Texas. My son, he's about to go off in the military. He goes to the hotel for MEPS today, and then ships off to basic tomorrow. Where are they taking you?
Lockland Air Force Base.
In San Antonio?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, he goes there. I'm super excited about that for him. Super proud. My dad served in the Air Force for 20 plus years and retired, and that's what it is. Advice for first-time home buyers. Great question. So what I would say as a first-time home buyer is the first place you need to start with is don't worry about what your credit is currently or any of that stuff. Talk to a local licensed residential mortgage loan officer. And so if you're in Texas, I'd love to talk with you. If you're in another state, talk to someone else. I can refer you. There's great companies out there. Cross Country, obviously amazing. Fairway, Supreme Lending. There's great companies out there. But the first bit of advice is to talk to a loan officer, to get a game plan together, so that you know exactly how quick you can in order to get into a home. And how much do you put down initially? So that's another great question. So there's a lot of misconceptions on down payment and how it works to get under contract. And so in order to get under contract on a home, you need to put down what is called earnest, option, and you need to have your appraisal money ready as well as inspection. Because a lot of the other costs can be covered through seller concessions, down payment and closing cost assistance programs, and typically earnest money is 1% of the purchase price. So if you're looking at a $200,000 house, your earnest money is probably going to be $2,000. Options usually $100, appraisals usually $500 to $700. And so in that scenario, depending if you get down payment and closing cost assistance, you need about $3,000 to $4,000 to get into a $200,000 home. if you're going to use like a 5% assistance program. Here in Texas, there's T-Shack, Seth, TDHCA, so many. So a lot of people feel like, oh, I've got to put this huge chunk down. In reality, if you've got a couple $1,000, you can usually get into a home. And that's why, and then you're building long-term generational wealth, because if you're paying a payment for rent, you are paying somebody's mortgage, just not your own. So yeah, couple grand, honestly. That's why it's good to talk to a mortgage loan officer so you can get the reality. Because if you go on Google is in essence an aggregate place for data to sell to consumers that are, or to people that want to buy your data to then market to you. And so if you go on there and start to search down payment, you're going to see all this sponsored stuff. You're going to see all this misinformation, 20 years, 30 years, this year's 30 years, the best I heard. It just depends on everyone's overall scenario, but statistically, first-time home buyer is only in their home 3 to 6 years, the first home. So you want to get a 30-year fix, because then it's a fixed mortgage, 30 years, your payment's lower. And so then if you go to sell in 3, 5 years, whatever the normal average is, you haven't paid an extra amount towards this home that you're end up going to be able to sell anyway. 30 years is a great mortgage option. Now, if you're wanting to look at paying it off faster because you know it's your forever home, then looking at 15-year, 20-year, there's some structures there, but there's also unique opportunities to pay your home faster. Like if you pay on bi-weekly schedules, because you end up making it a full extra mortgage payment a year. So that can help save some time. But there's so many strategies to getting in and managing your debt so you don't end up paying so much in interest, because that's what a lot of people are worried about, is that interest. My mother-in-law will use her house, or us her house, after she passes. Should we take it or sell it? If your mother-in-law should also do, if she, depending on where her health is currently, she should meet with her financial advisor and make sure that the property is structured correctly to avoid any extra taxes that might not be necessary for her or you guys as inheriting that property. So it's worth the conversation to talk with an estate planner, an attorney, a CPA, to make sure that that's set up for success. Especially depending on the age, because Social Security, sometimes there can be some liability there. So talk with a financial advisor, but get that. It's in a mobile home park. It's okay. Sometimes that still holds a lot of value, and you want to make sure that you honor that investment that she made into that property. But owning is great, and if you want to live somewhere else, that might be a great opportunity for passive income as a rental property. That's why, again, a great place to start would be talking to a loan officer so they could get your goals. Because if there's no mortgage on it and you don't want to live there, you have it for a little bit, and maybe you leverage some of the equity position in that property to then go buy other property for yourself, and then you use that as a rental. So there's a lot of unique scenarios to where you can build your real estate portfolio without ever having to put 20% down. And that's kind of the big scare when you're talking about investing in real estate, is that 20% down. And a lot of people, it's hard to come up with that. But there's ways to buy property over time where you don't have to do that. And, you can achieve your long-term goals of property ownership. Like we call it doors. Like how many doors do you want to own? And if you have a duplex, you got 2 doors. So if you have a door goal of like 10, well, let's get you 5 duplexes over time. And now you have your 10 doors, and maybe that passive income, depending on what your passive income goals are long-term, then you know exactly what you need to do. Maybe that's a 10-year plan, but still, as long as you have a plan, it's easier to execute it. Because if you're just going off like hypotheticals and wishes and what I think I might want, that's where things can get a little squirrely quick. And next thing you know, you're looking back 10 years and you're like, wow, I didn't do any of what I wanted to do. So that's why I like to do a long-term strategy with every client I work with. But yeah, no matter what the property is, where it's at, mobile home parks are a great investment just in general, never mind just this one unit. But the park itself is something that long-term is a good investment to buy, but it's another story. But I'm happy to answer any questions people have. Again, this is a mortgage market update. I'm not here to try to get like clicks and gifts and stuff. I'm here to educate. Brought my son, Ron. He's going to be here to chit chat and answer any questions too. He's going off in the military, so I'm super proud of him, but I brought him to the office today so that I can hang out with him before taking him to the hotel for MEPS tonight, where he ships off in the morning to go to basic training. But yeah, happy to answer questions. Thank you for asking those questions. Again, depending on what state you are in, you can message me, shoot me a DM, and I can connect you with somebody in your area to make sure that you're taken care of and your mom is taken care of. But this week, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be a super busy week for rates. A lot of things that are going to impact the market. On Tuesday, the Case-Shiller's home price index is coming out. FHFA's home price index is going to be released, and as well as consumer confidence. That's tomorrow, so that could be market moving. Wednesday, ADP private payrolls coming out, JOLTS report, Powell speaking. Again, all of those things could definitely move the market. And same thing with the Fed. Their interest rate decision is coming on Wednesday. That's going to be huge. And then on Thursday, we've got continuing jobless claims. The Challenger job cuts is going to be released. Just a ton of stuff on Thursday. And then Friday, we've got unemployment, hourly earnings reporting is coming out, and all that. So it's going to be important to follow this. I'll give you updates along the way to make sure that you stay current in what's going on. So you have a rate lock strategy. If you are under contract on a property, you'll know what to do and what to ask your loan officer to make sure that you're capitalizing on any positive gains we get in the market. And what those are typically called is a float down. So depending on if you locked earlier and the market, because the market's fallen 100 basis points in the last 2 weeks. So if we get the full rebound that potentially could happen this week, might be something to talk to your loan officer about. And that's called a float down. But yeah, happy to educate, again, answer any questions. These lives are usually pretty quick, 10, 15, 20 minutes, just to give you an update on what's going on this week, what to look out for, and then any updates that I have going on, because I do a monthly lunch and learn at Capital Title here in Plano on the last Wednesday of the month. And I'll always send out reminders about what's going on. But yeah, just want to make sure everybody who watches, follows, engages is empowered to make a buying decision or refinance decision, because that's going on right now too. Is a lot of people are pushing refinances, and right now might not be the best time for you to refinance. And if you're not hearing from a professional that's telling you to really look at it and evaluate it, things to consider if you're looking at refinancing is how much longer do you plan on owning that home? Do you like the home you're in? Is it fitting all of your needs? Are you going to have a change in housing structure? Like my son's going off in the military on today. So obviously our housing needs changed recently, but we planned for this a few years ago knowing that this day was coming. So if you have kids that are about to go off to college or moving out, this is a good time to have a conversation with a local licensed residential mortgage loan officer so you can plan accordingly. If there's so many unique strategies to put together to help your kids, especially going into college. One thing, if he was going to be going into college versus going into the Air Force, one of the plans I had for him was to buy a condo or something near the college or university, so that he's going to be able to collect rent from his buddies and himself, grow his net worth while living near campus, instead of paying room and board for college just so he can stay there. It's like, no, we'll buy a house near the place, and then you'll have that as an investment property by the time you graduate. So you can either sell it, pay off any student debt you got, or keep it, maintain it, and just have passive income. You can do that as for your kids as a first-time home programmer, and I'm put 20% down. I can walk you through that, but it will help save you money. It'll help your kid grow equity and potentially help you avoid any type of loans long term. So yeah, there's so many fun strategies out there to help people plan for the future. And you can tell my kid is super excited about this information by his facial expressions. I'm not doing any dances. There's not any welcome, thank you for the rose conversation happening here. But yeah, happy to answer questions and talk about the market, and or answer questions about my kid over here who's turning 20 May 31st. I just turned 41. And so some of the conversation I have with him, and I said this earlier on the live, is I remind him that, whenever I've asked, like, hey, bud, I'm so sorry I responded this way when you were growing up. I was just an idiot kid who's learning how to be an adult, and reminding him of the perspectives. Like, what would you do if you had a kid right now? Like, that's where I was when you were born. Like, I was your age, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Nobody gave us an owner's manual. And so it's just interesting. There's Tiff, Didi joined.
Hey, on Didi.
So, hey, Tiff, how's it going? But yeah, so it's funny and interesting to have him here, because like looking through the corridor of time, I've always told him, it's like, Jojo, imagine me, or think of me like a time traveler. I was already 20. And if you just take some of the suggestions I give you about investments and staying on top of stuff, she says hi.
Oh, hello.
then you're going to be set up for success in a way that I wasn't, because my dad had limited information and he did the best he could. But I got to where I am, through struggle and hard work and all this other stuff, where he's going to have a much significant further head start than I did because of the information I learned over time. And so that's where I'm glad to have him on here, because he's 20, but he's way more emotionally intelligent than I was at 20. When I was his age, I'm not kidding you, and I talk about this on here often, I was freaking a psycho. I was a loose cannon. I was really fun to be around and funny and down to do absolutely anything, because it was just, I was unbalanced and unhealed and didn't go to therapy or trauma. And so like having somebody that is way more emotionally regulated and healthy is encouraging. And so I'm like, dang, this kid actually listens and doesn't do stupid stuff and doesn't get into fights and just behaves. I'm like, I got lucky. I stopped it with one kid. I ain't chancing it, because I know kid 2 would probably be a nightmare and ain't happening. So, but yeah, I'm super proud of him. He's going off into the Air Force. So that's why I wanted to invite him on, so he could see a little bit of what I do, but also answer any questions and talk with the people on live. Because like Tiffany, his aunt, is on the live right now. And when was the last time you saw JoJo? Like, stand up, Joe. Like, yeah. This kid is giant. Whose kid is this, Tiff? Like you can't tell back to back, bro. Back to back. Like, kid is tall, Tiff. Like 6 foot tall.
I would say like 5'10", 5'11".
On Tinder, he's 6 foot. But like 8 years. So it's been 8 years. So he's 10. Bro is tall. He is worked really hard. He's did decent in school, and now he's going off into the Air Force. But yeah, so that's why these lives are kind of fun, because then people get to see you from a different perspective. You get to answer questions. You get conversations with interesting people. Like, I've met some of the coolest people on, like, please call as soon as possible about your test results, HIV clinic. Hopefully we're good, bro. Like, I haven't, like, do you see what I'm talking about? Sometimes live is hilarious. Like, somebody took the time to create this account, this HIV account, so that they could go on people's lives and like say stupid stuff like this. Isn't that funny? Like, TikTok is fascinating to me. First of all, many of you know that I talk about that I'm not really technologically advanced, because I'm not. I just didn't care about any of this stuff. And so just out here trying to help people go viral. Hello, I like the joke. But like, I didn't know how any of this stuff worked. I remember like back in the day, like when I first got on Twitter, my partner and I my partner talked about some stuff online, and it went crazy. And then I did not know that people could do what, like, bots and alt accounts. And so I thought all these people that were commenting were real live people. I'm like, how the frick is this many people know me? I am just a regular dude in Dallas, Texas, and I'm getting slam-basted on Twitter because I'm defending my wife. And like, it was just crazy. And then of course, like, all this drama happened and everything. But here I am now on TikTok, and I'm like, I'm going to figure this app out, because one, for the first year and a half of me on it, I didn't make any videos. I just kind of watched and added people and see how interactions went. But like, live videos have been really interesting for me, because I've met a lot of cool people on live, and people that have impacted my life. Like, there's an account on here that I showed my kid yesterday. I was like, hey, if I pass away, make sure that this person is taken care of. They meant a lot to me. They've impacted my life. Make sure that they're good. And I've never met them in person. It was all through live and just interactions. But this is such a cool platform for this stuff. And I'm learning, and people have been pretty patient with me. And I get funny, weird accounts like this HIV clinic popping up. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. But, and it's just interesting. And then getting to connect with my sister that lives in Georgia, and I'm here in Texas. It's just a way to shrink the world. But then I can give information, and it's part of my passion is to help. And hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a good day. But it's one of my things I'm passionate about is educating and helping people feel empowered to make decisions and not feel, is that your Sergeant Schultz? You might want to answer and see what they want. But yeah, to help them feel empowered to make buying decisions. And yeah, you can step out of the office and chit chat with them, bud. And so, and to be real with people. Love watching you grow. Me too. It's good to watch the documentation and go back. Like, I went back and looked at some of my old videos, and it's just fun to watch how everything has evolved. And, sorry, ADHD really bad, but I have on my, how do I switch my screen around? Let me see, flip camera up. And hangs out right there. Hey, bud. And just watches me. I wish I could get something out the window so I could feed him like little snacks, because I feel bad that he's just there watching me and doesn't get any snacks. But that guy comes and visits me every day. What's up, Odin? Doing good? That's his name. I call him Odin. But yeah, it's a fun little platform. I answer questions about mortgages. I come on here live on Mondays, usually 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on conversation, and answer questions about the mortgage market, about the real estate market. I'm a licensed residential mortgage loan officer. I've been doing it for 10 years. Love it. The first 5 years of my career, I was in operations, in charge of underwriting and processing. So I know the guidelines like the back of my hand. I study them every day, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 at night. It's part of my checklist. And I just love learning. And that's what this platform has really helped me get information that I would have never been exposed to. And so hopefully our government smartens up and doesn't ban this app, even though they're making it every effort to do so. But I think that is to their detriment, because when you have 170 million users and a lot of businesses, you got to check out Odin. He is coming up to the window. He's like, give me my time. Check it out. Hey, buddy. Hey, dude. Hey, bud. Look at it. That's my pet raven right there, or whatever kind of bird it is. But yeah, you get to learn so much on here, and there's 170 million users, and a bunch of people make income off of this app because, you know, you have the store, you have live things and sponsorships and all that stuff. So I think it would be detrimental to have it. But then you have, this app is really cool. And this is going away a little bit from the mortgage market update, but just in general, to one of the things I really value about this app is the community it builds to help people share life experiences. Like me being able to talk about my past failures and my emotional intelligence journey is awesome. Is that a balcony? Odin is a crow, and yeah, they're super smart. It's not a balcony. It's kind of like a ledge, but you can't get out there. So it's more of a tease situation. But like, this platform gives you a chance to share. Like, I've been able to share about my emotional intelligence journey, my parenting journey, my successes and failures in relationships, my relationship with Monica, because sometimes people don't get to hear this information, and toxic masculinity is a thing. There's a bunch of stuff out there that just needs to be settled down. And I love this, that this platform gives us the chance to do that. And it's like regular people. Like, back in the day, you wanted information, you're going to see it on TV, like Dr. Phil, Oprah, stupid crap. And it's like usually like the craziest people in the world sharing their 2 cents. Or you're getting crazy people on YouTube and it's all hate and rage bait, dumb stuff. And now we have an app where people can just chit chat and talk and share their experiences, and you get to learn from them. And I think that's fascinating. And like, how many people know, like somebody like me, a licensed residential mortgage loan officer who is passionate about educating people? Or like my wife is a famous actor and she does voiceover for anime and video games, and I outkicked my coverage. But like, then you can ask me questions about that stuff. I have experience with being a dad. I only have 1 kid, so anybody who's got more than me has got more experience, but I feel pretty successful with this one. I guessed all the way through. And then through this app, I found something called gentle parenting, which was a mind-blowing concept to me. Was it mind-blowing to you when I adapted that? Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's another alternative to parenting than this. So it's been fun growing in and learning with him and being vulnerable, because I want him to see that you don't have to be perfect, that you have to be able to admit faults and correct things and not have a fixed mindset on stuff. So it's been fun. But what would you say is you're most excited about when going into the next phase of your life, like with the military and all that?
Being able to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Travel. That's what I'm most excited about. That's number one.
Yeah. What are you most nervous about?
I don't know. Like, yeah. I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
Not something like I'm super nervous about, because I know I'll be taken care of.
Exactly. Who would you say you're going to miss the most other than me? Because obviously me is number one.
Bruce.
Yeah, the cat is a distant second. But yeah.
Honestly, you, Monica, my mom.
Yeah. Did you tell your mom all the nice, fun stuff before you left? Good. And Emma?
Yeah.
Good. But yeah. Yep. Anybody have any questions? Hey, Tiff, what is any questions you got for JoJo since you haven't seen him in 8 years? You got any questions for him as he gets ready for the military or stuff you want to tell him? She'll probably put something in there. But yeah, this is a great opportunity to chit chat and talk, ask questions. I'm a local licensed residential mortgage loan officer here in Texas. Happy to answer any questions you have. But my son, I'm taking him off to go to the hotel to get shipped off to MEPS or whatever it's called. MEPS today, and then you go to basic tomorrow. So yeah, there is so many things. Well, how about limit it to one thing or two things or five things, and then he can answer it as we are here, because that's what this is for. Do my best. Thanks for joining, people. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm a licensed residential mortgage loan officer. Happy to answer questions about the mortgage market, about the real estate market, what's coming in, what to expect, and also have my kid here. But the last 10 years, I've invested in my emotional intelligence therapy, healed from that kind of trauma. I've been married twice before, divorced because I was a psycho, and I absolutely treated my exes sometimes great, but a lot of times bad because I was ignorant. And now I am not afraid to talk about it because guys need to hear it. I wish I would have went to therapy sooner. Okay, Tiffany said there is so many things. Travel is going to be the biggest thing. Cool. Is there any questions you want to ask him or encouragement that you want to give him, Tiff, as his auntie? Because we live this. We grew up in the military life. Like, we know what time it is. JoJo's never got a chance to experience it yet. More likes. I don't care about getting likes. This thing gives you like little suggestions that says more likes. You don't have to bother tapping the screen. I don't care. I'm not here for that stuff. Just talking, answering questions, and go from there. If you ever get sent to Georgia, let me know. There is an Air Force base 1 hour from me. Take lots of pics. Yeah, he will. We got these little mics on that I got from TikTok for like $10, and it has two. So hopefully you can hear him okay and you can hear me okay because it's still green. But again, with technology, I'm about a 5 or 7 year old with competency in that deal. Like, maybe that's overshooting because those kids can like run an iPad like nothing. So maybe like 2 to 3, maybe 4. Any other questions, Tiff? As his auntie, or encouraging words? I'm excited because mom and dad should go to his graduation, and so they'll get to see him taking on that next step. I kind of wish that I would have been able to go in the military. My son here, he's going off to the military. I take him today to go to the hotel so he can ship off to basic tomorrow. So he was joining me here for my mortgage market update. I talk about the mortgage market, real estate market, what's going on, what to expect from the Fed, things that'll impact the bond market so that you can make a buying decision. So yeah, if you have any questions, put it in the comments. Pop it up on the screen, chit chat with each other. But yeah, just here to answer questions. Let me know when that is. I'd love to try to come. Do you know when your graduation is?
June 20th and 19th.
June 19th and 20th from the military. Is it 2 days?
Yeah, one's like your coin ceremony, and the next is like an actual like dress uniform in a field.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, so June 19th and 20th. So that's when that is. We'll keep you posted. I'll shoot you a text, Tiff. But yeah, thank you to the people who are joining and here on the live. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. If you have questions or comments about what's going on in the market, something that I wanted people to know, and this is something that everybody is starting to get hip to, that's my age I'm showing here, but is how intentional that hedge fund companies and major investors have been in buying up residential property, which is driving up prices because the inventory is so low. Right now in the market, there's about 1 million homes available roughly for 11 million more people than there was in 2007 and 8. Because a lot of people try to think it's similar to that time period where it's not. Back then, there was 4 million homes available for 11 million less buyers. And if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan. But now it's totally different, and home prices are going up like crazy. In 2021, home prices appreciated almost 20% in 1 year. And so in the last 5 years, most homes here in North Texas have gone up 50 to 60%. And that is serious. And so that's why I like to come on here and talk, especially for first-time home buyers, because how are you guys getting into the market? What are some of the unique strategies? And some of it might mean moving, and that sucks because nobody wants to move. But we have to define reality the way it is versus the way we want it to be or hope it to be. Now we can put in efforts to make it what we hope it to be, but right now we have to take care of right now. And so that's why we have to be honest with ourselves, honest with our financial situation, and not be buying stuff to impress anyone else. They're not paying your bills. So some people will wait to buy their first home for like a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home because they're like, well, I don't want to buy a home until I'm married. Well, imagine if you'd have bought a condo instead of paying for a rent in a condo for your first 5 to 7 years as you're figuring out life, you're building equity. And because it's such a low payment, because it's within your budget, as your income scales and you didn't overspend or start to get yourself in more debt, now you're building equity through two ways when you own a home. Forced savings through principal balance reduction, meaning every time you make your payment, you're reducing your principal balance, creating equity. Plus, you get equity growth through appreciation. And since 1942, our home prices are appreciated 71 of those years. 6 years home prices went down. 5 of those years were between 2007 and 2011, and then it went down 1% in 1990. Every other year it goes up exponentially. And the reason why it went down in that 2007 to 2011 period is because of the overbuilding and the lax lending guidelines. And so now it's totally different. So true. I'm talking to my son. Hey, how's it going? Yes, your son should buy a condo, townhome. There's so many, like, especially think about this right now. I shared this before. Imagine like somebody JoJo's age or a little older who, with social media being such an important factor for people's lives now, imagine if they documented the entire journey start to finish, the qualification process, the conversation with the loan officer, the conversation with the realtor, buying the property, the whole thing through that with the updates and the closing and then the renovations. Because if you're in an apartment, it's small square footage and you're only responsible for walls in. So now you've got this place that you could try out all the cool little renovation ideas that are shared on TikTok. Like, the doors, make them look like custom doors by taking like the 1-inch paint sticks, the yardsticks, and making like a design pattern on a door and then painting the door like a color. And now you just made something look high end for like $100 out of pocket, but you do that on 3-4 doors in your apartment. Now all of a sudden your apartment looks amazing. And you're documenting this and you're building a social media following based on your home investment journey. And that's why it's like he should buy whatever he can afford and then keep it. Because if you own the home for 12 months and you stay in it 12 months, if you want to buy another property, you can buy it as a primary and you can get a 1-year lease agreement on your home, and it'll help offset the hit to your debt to income ratio. And so it's a good way for people to be able to build a real estate portfolio without ever having to put 20% down. And that's what I was sharing a little bit earlier on the live, is strategies for parents to help with the cost of kids going to college is to consider buying them a condo, a duplex, something close to campus so that they can be, instead of paying money for room and board for the college that goes to nothing, buy a property to where they can rent the property to other students and start building their own equity, their own property values through appreciation and passive income through rent. And so then after they're graduated in 4 years or whatever it is, now they have a property that's had an opportunity to appreciate. And so like here in North Texas, the last 5 years, homes went up 50%. So say they find a $200,000 place and in 5 years, it goes up 50% as well. So now all of a sudden that home is worth $300,000. So they got $100,000 in equity just through appreciation. But keep in mind, for those 4 years they've been in school, they've been making their payment, reducing their principal balance as well. And so now they've got 110, 115,000 in equity. They sell. Now they have 90 grand afterwards that they can use to either pay off debt, go buy them another property, or imagine if they take a portion of that, invest it into retirement and index funds that are getting on average 10 to 12%, and just let it park there for the next 30 years as they go about their life. Now that income, that is going to get a chance to double every 7 years. And next thing you know, by the time they get into retirement age, it's doubled 5-6 times. And that 30 grand is turned into like $1 million just off of one transaction. So this is where you got to get a long-term strategy. So if your son wants to talk to somebody without pressure and just have a conversation, I'd love to sit down with them and we could do it via Zoom and just have a conversation to help him build his long-term strategy goals. How many doors does he want in his life? How much passive income would he need in order to not have a job in 10 years? And that's the part where if you get in early, it's a lot easier to manage your long-term goals, because then you don't have to get in debt. Because a lot of times as people's income increases, they increase their spending instead of looking at buying freedom. I'll let another reach out. Yeah, you can share my cell phone with them, and we can just have conversations and just put that stuff to paper and get the long-term plan. Because even if it's 1 to 2 years before he buys his first condo, at least he won't spin his wheels wasting time doing other things. He'll know exactly how much money he needs to save, what he needs to do, and then when the moment's right, he can pounce, and that'll be huge. And then he can be building this portfolio out one house at a time and do it in the right way, where he's never having to necessarily put 20% down, and he's building passive income so that maybe by the time he's 30 to 40, he doesn't have to work for anybody anymore. He's got enough passive income through properties, duplex, fourplex, because you can buy a fourplex or a duplex as a primary residence, as long as you're going to live in one side, and you can collect rent from the other 2 to 3 doors depending on what type of property you're buying. And now you're covering your mortgage, plus maybe sometimes addition to the mortgage, you're making a passive income, and you own 4 doors. And so when you're investing, you're looking at how many doors you want to have in long term. And a quick way to get to those door goals is to buy multi-unit properties like duplexes and fourplexes. Imagine where we'd be if we knew back. That's what I'm saying, Tiffany. And what I told JoJo, it's like, look at me as a time traveler. I have lived all the life you're about to live. If you do the little things now, I promise by the time you're my age, you're going to be set. And that's the thing. Back when I was young, I wouldn't listen to anybody. I thought I knew everything. He actually listens, and he's doing this stuff. And I'm like so proud of the kid, because again, some of it has to go into like the shift in parenting to where I'm co-parenting with him. He doesn't get in trouble. He doesn't do that stuff. It's like, hey, let me help you learn. And he's attacked it. Well, go ahead.
I need to go to the recruiter's office.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So
I need to be there by like 2:20.
all right, cool. Well, I'll get off now so I can finish this one client analysis and then go. But yeah, happy to get there. And that's where it's like, again, just to summarize this whole thing. My son here, we're about ready to go drop him off. We got a lot going on. This week is going to be super busy in the market. Please pay attention and watch. I'll give everybody updates this week. Tomorrow, we've got Case-Shiller's home price index is coming out and consumer confidence reports coming. Wednesday, JOLTS, Fed Chair Powell, he's going to be speaking their Fed rate decision. ADP payrolls coming out. Thursday, jobless claims, challenger job cuts, initial jobless claims. Like, it's just a action-packed week of reports. Friday, unemployment rate, average hourly earnings, all of it. So pay attention. I'll keep you posted so that you're empowered to make a buying decision or refinance decision. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Can't wait to see you.
Bye, Tiff. Bye. Somebody tried to join the last minute.
At the very end.
Bye.